Hey everybody, welcome back. All right, we're doing the guest bathroom for the curved cabinets of Benbow. So yesterday we glued up all these guys, piles of them. We resawed them on the bandsaw, face jointed them on the joiner, sanded them on the sander, which is kind of crazy. And then today we're going to take off all the tape and we're going to make some jigs. Probably a jig. Yeah. Take the tape off this real quick. I'm going to go drum sand them all, a couple thousandths off each one. I'll pick the side that I want for the face because, you know, you don't really want that as the face. That looks kind of silly. But you can always get a pair of these. Oh my goodness. You see that? Put them down here like this. There. How do I look? Ooh. Impressive, huh? So, well, we'll pick a face. We'll make that the face, and I'll show you how to go about bagging them up and gluing them up, and we'll go from there.
Gotta get it right now. Yeah, push all the limits with you right now. Gotta get it right now. Yeah, push all the limits with you right now. Gotta get it right now. Yeah, push all the limits with you right now. Right now, right now. Get it right now, right now, right now. Get it right now, right now, get it right now. Yeah, push all the limits with you right now.
Okay, so we've sanded all our parts down, so they're just a little under 1/8 of an inch. When you put 6 of them together, I get 11/16, a little fat of that. So by the time we put 5 layers of glue in between the 6 layers of wood, it should be 3/4. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you know. This is the template that we're using for the door top rails, the raised panels, and also the raised panel molding, and I'll show you all that in a little bit. And then the face frame is going to be a little separate because it's like 50 inches long. 4 little pieces of scrap wood I got just because scrap CCX plywood. Yeah, very nice. I cut them to 20 inches and I put a center mark on them right there. And the center mark on this right here, right? And on this side here. So I know where all the centers are. I know where the door rails and stiles end and all that crap. See, there it is, blah. And what I do is I put, there's little lines on the end right here, all right, and there's the center line. So I got my little hash marks over here lined up with the marks that I had on the plywood. The center lines line up, okay? And the thing over here. All I'm gonna do now is just trace this guy out like this, okay? And then I'm going to cut it on the bandsaw, and I'm going to go edge sand it to the line, and that's it. I'm going to close the door. So I'm going to go bandsaw these out right now. I'm going to set up my router, and then we're going to double stick tape that to this, and then we're going to just duplicate these things, and I'll film one, and then we'll go from there.
Gotta get it right now. Yeah, push all the limits with you right now. Gotta get it right now. Yeah, push all the limits with you right now.
This is my router table. I got a Rousseau insert, I think that's what it's called. I've had this thing for probably 20 years. I don't know, I got some old 2 horsepower Porter cable router in there. I've got the world's crappiest fence. We're not going to use that. We're going to put that over here somewhere. No. Yeah, there's spider webs under here and everything else. Router. Yeah, I'll just flip that over. Sucked up about 400 spiders. Good golly. It looks clear of spiders. All right. So the router bit I like to use the most when I'm making patterns is, or jigs, is this spiral-headed double flammy flipper flapper.
What?
The double bearing carbide twister. And it's very dirty, you can see. And if you want a 2-tip Tuesday thing, you take simple green and you spray it all over it for a second, and then you scrub it off with a toothbrush, and it's clean as a bell. And remember, it's got to stick up like over 1.5 inches. So we're gonna have to use all of the cutter. Yeah, we're gonna have to use that whole thing all the way to there. So the first one we have to do is these two thicknesses here. Here's the bearings right here. And so I want both bearings to roll on my jig. So I'm gonna lower it down a little bit. And we just kind of do this, just like that. All right. So now you can see the double bearing's gonna roll onto our jig, and the cutter, and the cutter part is going to take out this right here. Okay, so we're gonna take this piece and attach it to our jig, and then whatever this jig's gonna be after we roll around it, all the rest will be exactly the same. Exactly the same. So what we're gonna do, all right, now watch this. You take your pencil and you mark right on the right side, okay?
Okay.
Left on the left side, and hopefully you get it right.
What?
So all the rights will be on the right, all the lefts will be on the left, because if you intermingle them and flip them around by accident, your jig won't be flat exactly the same as the first one.
Oh!
Okay, you're making duplicate copies. There you go. Two-Tip Tuesday. You're welcome. Let me tighten this up down here. And once I get all this snuggerooed, I'm going to go pull over the my dust collector, because this makes a mess. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put 3 pieces of tape on my jig. Not very big, like 1 inch by 1 inch, whatever that is, 1.5 inches. Peel this puppy up like this. And I think 3 should be good. We'll find out shortly. So we have this. We're going to put this on the bottom, and we're going to put this on the top. We're going to line everything up. The lines with the lines with the lines, just like we had it before. Like I said, the first one's the most important. Beat that Johnson down there. Okay, there it is. See, it's a little proud, right? We did the yeehaw dust collector system, where we just take a little bungee cord, wrap it around there, and kind of just hold it in place so it'll suck up some dust. Yeah, it's better than nothing. Something's better than nothing, you know what I'm saying? That's why you watch these videos. You get something better than nothing. Oh my God. Flip switch. Where's the switch? That wasn't so bad. All right, and now you can see, it this way. See how that works? The double stick tape works really good. You want your jig always longer than your piece. Yeah, always make sure your jig is longer than your piece that you're flush trimming. Always. Now we got to try to figure out how to get this off. And for that task, we shall use the brand new putty knife. Crowbar would be better. Good golly. You got to be careful with these things, because mine are razor sharp. What I'm trying to do is get in where the tape is, and if you put the tape in the same spot, there we go. Put this tape in the same spot every single time, you'll be able to find it and cut it off much easier. 2-Tip Tuesday again. Not even Tuesday, today's Wednesday. All right. And you throw that away. Or you put it in your friend's underwear when he's not looking and piss him off really good. Ooh. Double stick tape, it's fun. Okay, so this jig here, we're gonna put aside because we don't need this right now. We might use it later on for laying stuff out, so don't ever throw your jigs away. Now we have this, okay? We have the left side marked and we have the right side marked. So we're gonna lay the next piece on there. Just make sure all your letters line up with all your letters. All right, before you roll around it. So the R's line up with the R's, and the L's line up with the L's. And you can set it down like this after putting your tape on there and squeeze it together. Because if they're all the same width when you start and all the same length, it makes this part much easier. So you don't have to try to line things up. You just put it down on the ground, make sure the ends are flush, and squeeze it together. All right, and there you go. Happy flesh trimming. All right, so we got all our pieces all flush trimmed all together. We got the rights on the one side and the lefts on the other. So what I do now is I put them on the ground here like this, and I take a framing square and I just set them in there and push them all into the framing square so the whole thing's square. I have my center line marked on there, which I still want to have because it's a good thing to have. And there it is. So now that we have the center line there, we measure our length of our panel and we add like an inch or so. So this is one of the longest panels. It's 17 inches. I think I only need like 15, but we're going to go with that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. What I want to have happen is when I make this jig, I want this panel to sit inside these outside ribs about 1/4 of an inch on both sides, just so it has something solid and round to sit on. And then I'm going to put ribs in between here, all the way across. Okay. We're also using this jig to make the door rails, the top and bottom rails, which are 2 inch and 2.5 inch for the door rails. And they're only tiny ones, but we have to rib out this whole thing. So if our panel is 17 inches, we take this 17 inches here, and if we want our ribs on the outside, which I do, to stick proud by 1/4 of an inch, what we have to do is take our 17 inches here, boom, 17 inches, which is this length. Then we have to subtract the material that's on the inside, which is 1/2 inch a piece, so -1, all right? Then we're going to subtract these, -1.5 inches. That gives us 14.5 inches, and then we're going to divide that by 3. 1, 2, 3, and that'll give us the size of the ribs, divided by 3. 4.8333333. So if we go, so 8135 is 13/16. I think if we do that, 4 and 13/16, and we'll write that down somewhere. This is my new board, Barney Rubble board. So ribs, we're going to make ribs 4 and 13/16. So the reason we put this center line on here also is we'll line the center line up with this panel here because these are all the same. And then the way we can lay out our ribs, you can put a little line where your rib is, boom, boom, boom. And then you'll have ribs on the outside, which you want. One in the inside here, and then one on the outside there, and then ribs everywhere. But you can lay them out according to where you need them on this because you want something solid underneath the edges, the top, and the bottom. And yeah, it's going to have somewhere around 3,000 pounds of pressure per square inch sucking down. And so you got to make this a little bit stout. And once I get it all milled up, I'll show you, and then I'll build the thing and show you what it does, how it works, and all that stuff. So, God, I hope that made sense. I'm getting hungry. It's almost lunchtime. Okay, I clamped these all together like this, and you can see the little lines that are on there. When we lay the panels on the jig, we want the center lines to line up with the center lines. So when we put the ribs on, we got the center line marked here. This line here is to the outside of the panel, and we'll put the rib to the inside. So there's the center line lined up with that, and here's all the marks. There it is. And we try to line everything up when we glue it up because you don't want this panel on there crooked and to be bent crooked because after all that work and you put it in there crooked, not good. So there's 2 reasons for that. One, we want a solid piece of wood on the outside. We want a solid rib on the outside of these pieces here, on the outside of this panel.
Okay.
And also it gives us a straight line to follow. When we put this down, we can also tape this down when it's all glued up. We could tape it down with packing tape to the jig itself, and when you suck it up with the air, it won't move. Because that's another problem you have with the vacuum bag system is that if your stuff's not on there flat or loose, it'll start moving around and do all sorts of weird things, and that's not good. All right, I'm getting goofy. I need to eat. All right, peoples, I'll see you in a little while. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey, everybody, I'm back. You ever seen one of these? This is a center finder. So anywhere you go on a curve, this side right here, it points towards the center. Kind of works like that. No matter where you go, it'll point towards the center, wherever the hell it is eventually. What happens is when you're using your little ribs and you want them as flat as possible going across that way, and by using a center finder on your line and putting the piece of wood, see if I can do this without knocking it off. Putting that in there like that, kind of, keeps it flatter on the top. So you don't have little ridges and stuff. So if you're going to do the center marks, you just like that. And then I go to the next one and I'll do that. And you can either use them for a center mark or like this one right here. I'll show you. This one right here is the side mark. All right, so I'm going to put some more lines in here like this. This one I'm going to move over a quarter. Last one goes way out here. You see all those lines? It looks like gobbledygook. But what'll happen is I'll take these and I'll lay these guys out here. See, voila. And then we're going to screw all these down. But here's the important part: is when I put these together, this one here and this one here line up right on the center of this, because I want it to bend. I want to have something solid for that to sit on when I'm sucking it down with the air vacuum sucker upper. Very important. Okay, and this one is wrong. And this one is wrong also as well. And there we go, voila. So that's what I'm going to do. So some of these I'm going to screw from the outside, and then some of these I'm going to pocket screw and screw from the face. And when you do stuff where you have to put one on top of the other like this, you need to offset them. So you need to offset them so you don't have one screwing in, so you're not screwing in the same spots. I'll show you. You might put one screw in one and two in the other, one and one and two in the other, one and one and two in the other. Just offset everything so you're not screwing two screws into each other, which happens a lot, and that's not good. All right, we're jig building. So I got lines on everything on the outside, both sides, so I know what's what. I just screw these on really quick. The most important part after screwing these in, as you're screwing them in, is to make sure that they're flush on the top. Okay, so they don't stick above at all. All right. Next most important thing is that you get the lefts with the lefts and the rights with the rights, and the 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and that you take a framing square, which I got right here. Okay. Put that down here, butt that into the framing square. Take this Johnson here and make sure you have the correct letters to the correct side. And they both say R for right on. All right, push these up here, make sure this is flat here and square on the side. And now we're going to just take a little tiny clamper jig here, clamp that puppy down, give it a good squeeze. Check it out. All right. And there we go. So now I'm going to screw this side here. I'm going to screw this to this. And one by one, we're going to go ahead and screw these puppies in. More important that it stays square than these line up in the perfect spot. I got my driver. Pocket screw one side down, I'm going to screw the other, and from now on we're just going to pocket screw and screw from the top. And yep, so we got to pocket screw all these little guys here on one side. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll see you in a minute. asked you to build some curved stuff, and they complain about the price, yeah, show them this video. You'll be like, that's what I got to do. If you don't have a vacuum bag, you have to take this little jig here, and then you'd have to make the positive of it. So if this is the negative, you'd have to make the positive. That would go over the top, so you could squish them together at a different radius too, because you know, if it's 3/4 of an inch, the radius changes by a little bit. Yeah, and there you go. So what we need to do is get 6 of these guys. I kind of like this one. So then what we're going to do is take these like this, and we're going to glue them all up one at a time. Boom, 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 boom. What happens is the vacuum press will suck this down and make it all just one thing and beautiful. And we can use these little ribs here to line this up with to get it as straight as possible. Plus we can use the top and the bottom, once we have them sized, to also kind of get them in there square. And that's really important, because if you put it on there crooked, like that, and clamped it up, your panel would be a little strange. So we're going to line it up with the ribs equally on both sides. And probably what I'll do is I'm going to tape them together with, so I'm going to tape them with cinta de empaque. All right, some strapping tape. So let's say we've glued all those together. Favorite little tool is right here. I love these things. If anybody tells you they can't figure out a reason to have little itty bitty tiny spring clamps, well, here you go. So we've glued it up and we've clamped it like this. So what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll wrap this around here like that. And we'll do this. We'll wrap all the sides with tape. And what that does, it'll keep it, when it gets vacuumed in there, vacuum sealed in there, it keeps it from wandering off. Okay, and then once you do that, pull all the spring clamps off. And that gives you a little glued up burrito shell pie wood thing. And you can do one of two things. You can take this and shrink wrap it. What if you could just shrink wrap it and glue it up that way? No. But you can shrink wrap it like this. It always works better when you have somebody else helping you. That's good enough. It'll kind of hold it down and hold it in place. Then do the other side, same thing. So you shrink wrap it down, you slide it into your bag. You have a grid work underneath your bag that lets the air suck through this thing. I let it sit for at least 12 hours, sometimes 24. And these I'm probably going to let sit for all day. So I'll only be able to do one panel at a time and let it sit for a day while I'm resawing up all the other parts that are going to go for this too. And that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. There it is, the curved jig. Now I just got to figure out how to make this like 10 minutes or less for the entire day. God, yeah. All right, well, you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye. Magic trick, ready? There's that one. And the last one should pop up. Oh. Got it. Sugar. Note to self, don't do that again. Burger. I'm using a square as a hammer. Don't do that. You wonder why these things take forever? Because Kevin's ADHD pops in and then all hell breaks loose. Spiders are so stupid sometimes. Let's see. Here, come on. There you go. See, there she is. Right there, you see him dangling participles. Gotta go outside. Come on here. Out you go. Need spiders, just not inside my router. And this goes on and on until it's 400 feet tall. Oh, I got an itch. I see these line up right where I don't want them to. Booger snot. Nothing's set in stone. Unless, you know, it's your gravestone, and then it's kind of set in stone. That's very morbid. There you go. You're welcome. Alrighty, gesundheit.
Subscribe now.